So the world's on fire, and because of that, Are we ready?
Yeah, let's start. Let's just do action.
I am Carrie Socello, and I'm running for House District 60 to represent Morgan, Johnson, and Monroe counties.
My name is Jimmy Pittsford. I'm running for House of Representatives District 46. Covers 2 townships in Monroe, all of Owen County, 5 townships in Clay County, and 3 in Vigo County. And things are just not, don't seem to be representing the people's will. And I started at the start of the year. I haven't completed it yet, but I started hand copying the Constitution, so I could say that I had read every word of the Constitution and understood it. And what I understand from the Constitution is the legislative body in our federal government and our state government are supposed to be there to put limits on the head of state, the governor, and the president, and how they can rule over us. You can do this, but only this far. That's what the legislature and the Congress are supposed to be there for. And our Congress and legislature at this time are not putting limits on the executive branches at all. So they're more like rubber stamps. And I think the only reason I've been able to see is they must be deriving some personal benefit from it, because they're subject to the same laws that we are.
Sure.
So the only possible benefit there could be must be some financial benefit. And
Agreed.
yeah, it's our governor, who has a lot more money than I do, had us to build for him a helicopter pad on his property. I'm not a wealthy person, but I could pay to put in a helicopter pad if I needed to. He wants us to fund a highway connecting Interstate 64 and 69, coincidentally, near Jasper, to benefit his trucking business, and then have us pay a toll to improve and maintain Highway 70. And that's, it seems like the money for the new terrain road could repair and maintain 70, and we wouldn't need toll booths. And if he wanted closer access to an interstate, perhaps he could move his business closer to the interstate.
Right. But yeah, there's definitely a benefit in it for him, and that's I think that's the disgraceful part of it is, government is supposed to work for people, and we're seeing it work for power. And I guess, I've thought all day about, I've had some different conversations with people today, and I've thought about, what will you do? What will I do? What will everyone do in this moment when we know that things are not okay? How will you stand up? How will you show up? And I think that is maybe, a question that would resonate with people, because my conversation today when I was speaking about that was with our flower girl, Brandy, Fine Girl Flowers. She grows organic flowers, and then she brings them in here once a week to sell. And so she was stopping in to check on her flowers, and her son was with her. He just graduated high school, and it was kind of cute. He said, "Mom, your flowers look kind of tired." so she was like, "Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take these home, or if you want them, you can have them." And she is very affected by the data center. She has been turning in water samples since they started that construction over there. Her water is brown. She's changing filters every other day. She's again started this organic flower growing business, and she's been doing that for 5 years, and this is the first year that her seedlings aren't taking off. And we have to think that there's some coincidence with what's going on over there with the environment in the data center. But her son was here, and after he said, "Mom, your flowers look tired," I said, "How are you feeling about our democracy? Are you tired?" And he said, "Yeah." And then his mom stepped in and said, I think that with the young ones, I think that they don't really know how they could help. They just feel helpless."
Well, I don't know that I'm so different than one of those, but I was presented the opportunity to run, and I don't really know how to do this, but I'm willing to step out, and I can tell you, there are moments when I'm in the process of this, I'm thinking, why am I doing this?
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
And then, you just got to keep pushing on. And it's a lot. When I played junior league football, about 2 weeks in of conditioning, practices, you're like, oh man, this is terrible. But Mom and Dad wouldn't let me quit. Said, you don't have to sign up next year, but you've got to finish this season. So that's what I have to keep doing. I don't have to run in 2 years. I don't have to, but I do have to finish this. I do have to give it my best effort, because it's not just for me. I'm doing it for all the people that can't do this, that don't have whatever it takes, the stupidity or whatever it is that made me say, yes, I'll run.
The vulnerability.
Yeah, I know.
That's what it is.
I've never been one that was concerned with how people think of me. It really hasn't affected me too much whether somebody likes me or not. So this is something really different for me, to have to learn how to care about people liking you.
Yeah.
I frequently would tell people the truth, probably as diplomatically as I could, but without regard to whether or not they were still going to like me after I told them the truth.
Well, we are in such times that, when we present the truth and we can connect those dots for people, and now is the time to demand that people face the truth.
Yeah.
And those are hard conversations to have. And like here at the coffee shop, I'm kind of on a tightrope here, because I have been fierce about my opposition with this data center and the extraction of our community with the power coming in, and that takes conviction and nerve, because we're serving the public, so we want to serve everyone, and we do want to serve everyone. We have a safe space, but being in such opposition of this from the get-go, and having a business, we get to have a lot of conversations with people, and when we have conversations, we do try to be intentional, and I think that we owe it to our democracy, to what we're trying to save. Now, we are not going to get them to come our way always, but we can make a commitment to always tell them the truth. And again, in these times when we know that our democracy is on fire, what will you do? Will we do something different outside of the box than we've done before? And that's what I ask my community, because my community, very much so like yours, is a very red community. This is what they know. This is what they've done for the last many, many years. Their moms have done it. Their dads have done it. Their grandparents have done it. They have voted Republican. That's what they That's what they are ingrained to believe. But now, with it on fire, what will we do? Will we do something different?
Yeah, I've had some people that I've met with that were not exactly pleased at my party choice, but they're the only ones, the only game in town if you want to preserve democracy right now. Mm-hmm. That's the other party has drawn district lines. Everything they've done over the past 20 years has not been for the benefit of the people. It's just been to perpetuate them staying in power. Mm-hmm. That's all they've done. We went to daylight savings time because a handful of companies in the state of Indiana did business with companies on the East Coast, and they wanted to be on the same time. We didn't care so much about the other 6 million, mm-hmm. 7 million people in the state of Indiana. We had to do something for the benefit of these companies. Mm-hmm. And we have lost what Lincoln said, that we don't seem to any longer be a country of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Right.
Everything seems to be for, the benefit of corporations and money.
And it seems to be, and we can show that that's true. That's not an assumption that we're making, that everything's for the Republican Party and for power. That's not an assumption. That's true. Yeah. And we can show I'm sure you've done plenty of opposition work on your opponent.
Not as much as I should, but yes.
Well, you've started looking into what your opponent is for and mm-hmm. against, and I've done the same thing against Peggy Mayfield to see what she has voted for, what she's supporting. I've done the same thing with Rod Bray. And we're lucky to have a bit of a relationship with Rod Bray because he's a customer here at the coffee shop, because we like a safe space. So we want everyone to come and enjoy organic coffee, no matter what side you're on. But yeah, the opposition work, because again, it is so important right now for us to name the harm, show the harm, and say who is responsible for this harm. And who is responsible for this harm is the Republican Party.
Well, I don't have the benefit. I've not met Bob Heaton face to face. I've sent him a few emails through the years.
Your opponent?
He's the guy that holds the seat right now. He is the majority whip. So I don't think that there's a whole lot going on between his left and right here. I think he's just doing what the party tells him to do. Mm-hmm. Personally, I keep telling people that I don't really have to think a whole lot either. I just need to do what the people tell me to do. That's what I'm being sent there for, is to represent the people of the 46th district.
Right.
I'm not being sent there to represent the Democratic Party. I'm not being sent there to represent my will. I've only got one vote for me. I need, 30,000 other votes.
Yes, for the people.
The people mm-hmm. need to understand that I want to represent them. And the idea that I've told people at various gatherings that if I can't come back to the district and explain to them how a bill I voted for improves their lives, I'm going to have to vote no.
Yes.
If I can't come back and explain to them, this is how it's going to make your life better, no. That's what it's all about. Mm-hmm. I've started going to county council meetings in the 4 counties, and I missed a school board meeting in Clay County last night to attend a buddy of mine's funeral. But I'm going to school board. I want to go to school board meetings too, because those two places you can get an understanding of what's going on in the community.
Oh yeah.
And if I get elected, I'm still going to go, so that people will know where they can get in touch, see me face to face.
Right.
And I went to the Owen Community School Board meeting Thursday, the 28th of May. And I was explaining this to somebody that was waiting to get in there. He says, "Man, that sounds like a lot of work." I said, "That's the job. Either you want to do the job or you don't want to do the job."
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've got a guy that doesn't want to do the job.
Right. Yeah.
He just wants the pay, the whatever glamour there is in being a state representative. Personally, I think it's a job of servitude.
Oh yeah.
You become more of a servant if you're elected than if you were just a private citizen.
Absolutely.
And so that's what I'm running for.
Yeah, because I mean, as a private citizen, all you can do is hope that you have someone that is representing you that will carry your voice forward.
Yeah.
And as a representative, you have to make that hope come to life. And we don't have that at all.
No, we don't. They don't care. They really don't care what you think if you don't think like them.
No, I mean, and we can show this harm. We can show the times that we have went to local board meetings and the way that we are treated for showing up to represent our community. Like, it's not okay. You have chosen to work in local, state, or federal government because you want to represent people. And then, we have a rift going on within Morgan County because Monrovia feels like we're the extracted county. And it's not feels like, that is what's happening. That is the truth in real time. We are being extracted by data centers and by power companies and all of this. But we have to be the hope that we are going to carry your voices, your wishes, your intentions forward and right. We'll never create a bill that would be harmful to people.
No, I mean, it just, there are a lot more citizens than there are corporations.
Oh my goodness.
Corporations don't have a vote. All they have is money. Mm-hmm. So, why, the only reason to vote in favor of corporation is because you want the only thing that they can give you is the money. Mm-hmm. I want the vote, not the money.
Right.
As I was fortunate enough, driving home from a union meeting last Wednesday, I was listening to Sirius XM, and John Fugelsang had played a segment of our lieutenant governor talking about how he hated Islam.
Oh yeah.
I called the radio. I got on. I got to speak with John Fugelsang.
Amazing.
And I apologized for our lieutenant governor.
Nice.
I said, I have attended a town hall that he was at, and I can tell you that his ignorance is not limited to matters of spirituality. His
ignorance
runs the gamut.
He's got a full tank.
Yeah, I was not exactly prepared when I saw him in Ellettsville. But if I ever attend another town hall that he's in, he will leave early or red-faced, one or the other. Because when I've seen some of his town halls on YouTube, and he looks way too comfortable to be standing in a room full of his bosses, leaning back on tables and wearing a hat inside. I don't know how you were taught to act when you're in the presence of your employer, but that's not it.
Yeah, I mean, we could offer up a challenge. Mike at Beckwith, anytime you want to come and have a sit down at Farmhouse Brew, with some of these candidates.
Couch
Come
is
on,
warm.
the couch is warm. We'd
I wanna-
love to entertain you.
I want to give him a warning though. My Bible goes all the way to Revelations. It doesn't stop at Leviticus.
Yeah, there you go.
So
Yeah.
I don't.
My extent of faith is about Jesus and his message.
He
and,
was.
and I think everybody should be able to worship how they choose.
That's,
But my faith leans in Jesus, and I know damn well that he has missed his message.
if we allow the state to become a theocracy, you're only one election away from not having the faith of your choice in charge.
Oh, absolutely.
That's what the founders saw. That's what a lot of people don't realize, that Catholics were ostracized in the colonial United States. They were put into Rhode Island, I believe, was just for the Catholic people.
Yeah. It was a big deal when JFK got elected.
It was an extraordinarily big deal. People thought that he would be, little did they know 50, 60 years later where we'd be. But they were afraid that the Pope would be forcing policy in the United States. And now we've got two rulers in other countries that seem to be forcing policy in the United States now.
Exactly, and
You've got Vladimir Putin and you've got Bibi Netanyahu.
Yeah, and then whatever we have at the top.
Yeah.
Yeah. What a lot of people miss about the whole theocracy argument, they're in support of what he's saying in terms of like all the negative stuff toward Islam, is that they're not going to stop at Islam.
Right.
Oh, well,
Next is the Catholics.
Yes.
After that, it's the Mormons, and it's the Jews, and it's the Baptists,
so
and it's
that's
the Presbyterians.
I was looking on
It'll
Facebook
keep getting narrowed down.
yesterday, and somebody was talking about how fascism comes in, with this, that, and the other. I said, no, fascism starts with othering minority groups. That's how it always starts. You have to have, it becomes a dichotomy, us and them.
Mm-hmm.
Why can't it be we?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you think about the diversity in the United States is what makes us great. World War II would not have been won without the diversity that we had here in the United States. For every guy that you see in the movies pulling a trigger, there were 5 or 6 other guys bringing stuff to him. And a lot of the truck drivers in the Red Ball Express were black.
Mm-hmm.
The wind talkers in the Pacific had a way of communicating that the Japanese couldn't break the code because they weren't familiar with the language they were speaking in.
Mm-hmm.
There's just...
Yeah, diversity is what makes the world go round. Diversity is what creates community.
Enrico Fermi, an Italian, helped to create the atomic bomb. Einstein, a German Jew, helped to create the bomb. So, I mean, the diversity is our strength. I don't know if you've seen there's a cartoon where this fat guy's got a plate full of cookies, and the person next to him's got a plate that has one cookie, and then he's telling him, hey, that guy over there wants to take your cookie, and he's got this big mound of some on Facebook, they were talking about Bezos. They had interviewed him, and he said that if you tax the rich, it really wouldn't make that much difference, blah, blah, blah. I said, how would he know? We haven't taxed the rich since 1979. Mm-hmm. Let's give it a try. See if we like it. Mm-hmm. I mean, think about all the things that have changed. You weren't around in 1980. So before 1980, I don't recall there being a homeless issue to the extent that we have today. There weren't farm aid concerts to help family farms.
Affordability crisis, like
the air traffic controllers were unionized. There are so many things. So we went through a period in 1970s because the oil embargo of OPEC drove prices up here in the United States, and inflation was at like 15%. It was extraordinary. But my dad didn't have trouble finding a job. He just had to drive farther to it. But so what Reagan did was the exact opposite of what Joe Biden did. Joe Biden had a period of high inflation because people had all kinds of money through subsidies from the government, were sitting at home, drawing $900 a week in unemployment benefits, a lot of them, and had computers, and they were buying stuff on Amazon, so prices shot up. But Joe Biden was able to glide the plane in and bring the inflation back down to like 2.25 without putting 30% of the country out of work. That's what Ronald Reagan did. He came in 1980 and put a bunch of people out of work, and we have not been the same since.
Well, and as we know, history repeats itself. We're on that cusp again of putting people out of work for.
We're in a worse place right now.
Yeah, and then here when we're looking at tomorrow, we worry about how many jobs are going to be taken by AI, and so we have that crisis. But when you were talking about why can't it be we the people, I mean it can be and it should be. We have forgotten what the foundation of our government is supposed to do. But I think it is important to talk about what these corporations and the way that local and state and the federal government is dealing with its people is because of all of the abatements and for big tech, and then just across the board. But like we see it here in this community, they are intentionally dividing us.
That's exactly. So here's what you need to imagine. So they divide us, and the people that they want to put at the top don't have the moral fortitude to say no.
Right.
I don't want to be separated from these people. I want to live a life similar to these people. So, medical costs in the 90s were going up by 10%. College tuition was going up by 7%. And they were telling us that the rate of inflation was 2.5%. Well, if doctors' bills are going up by 10%, college tuition's by 7%, I'm guessing the rate of inflation was probably more than 2.5%, wouldn't you think? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So we just need people, and I understand that it takes a moral person, somebody without the desires of wanting to get ahead of everybody else, and that's something that came through the 80s. Greed is good, and sitting around one time, I got to thinking about, do you want to have your kid to have a good education so he can get ahead? Well, who's he getting ahead of? Who do you want him to be ahead of?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's so much conversation with that. We've pushed college education, and we see that there's benefits to that, and we see that there's a little bit of crisis with that too, because we've also then lost our ability to do things with our not our hands, but we've lost some of that blue collar skill.
Well, why? I understand a doctor has to go through a lot more school, and nowadays they have to pay a lot more for that school, but when I was younger, they didn't have to pay as comparatively as much then as they do now. But perhaps they should get paid a little bit more for their dedication. But why is their effort worth so much more than my effort?
As far as what?
I mean,
cost?
compensation? Why should they be compensated so much more than the average? So, do you ever listen to the Tom Hartman program?
Well, I mean, first I'd like to answer that question. Our daughter is a physician.
Okay, I understand.
And
I've got a sister-in-law that's a physician's assistant, but me and my brother have some really difficult conversations about our healthcare system.
Oh, I'm sure. But yeah, I think if we understood our healthcare system from bottom to top, we could then understand from bottom to top why we are in the crisis that we're in. But as far as what physicians are paid and why their value is so much more, and I know, like, our daughter, would not think that her value in humanity is more than yours.
Mm-hmm.
But she also, like all the other physicians, are going to school for 8 years and then working in a residency up to 100 hours a week at a very basic income for living standards. And they do that for another 4 years. And basically, their labor is used for the good of their progressing in their profession. But no profession is asked to work that many hours and not be compensated for the actual hours that they're working. So with physicians, it's almost like they give a lot of themselves and their time for that training aspect period of their lives. And then once they have hit that level of ready to go out on their own, then the compensation must reflect all that the sacrifices they've made.
Well, if I had, when my parents passed away, I had enough funds, I could have started a business. And I probably, would have been like a service plumbing company, something like that. But I discovered that I didn't want to be a manager of people. It would change the nature of my work. I would no longer be a craftsman. I would be a manager of personnel and bills and all this other stuff. So, but in an apprenticeship, our apprentices go through a 5-year school while they work. And then if they're as dedicated as I was, I went back and got several other certifications to make myself more employable. So it's in the idea that it's constant learning, it's not dissimilar from being a physician.
Yeah, and then also another topic that I think would be important to emphasize for.
Can I chime in on that a little bit?
Yeah.
I was going to say, maybe the argument isn't so much that physicians make too much money, but that everyone else doesn't make enough.
Oh, absolutely. There you go.
Like, if you look at something like Amazon or Walmart, like Amazon's a perfect example. Like, why are Amazon employees, even the janitors at the factories, not making $75 an hour? Because what was it a few years ago? Like, Amazon could have given every single one of their employees like a $200,000 end of the year bonus. And it wouldn't have cut into like 1% of Jeff Bezos' profit that year. Like,
right.
Why does Jeff Bezos need to go to space? Why does he need all this other stuff? Like, I think that's a really good thing. A really good point, not a good thing. But
yeah. It's definitely not a good thing, but it is a good point. Like, instead of questioning why would a physician make so much money versus someone else, well, one thing we could address and allow people to hope for is that the bills that we will create more affordability so that we feel like we have more value in what we're doing. That's the I think one of the biggest issues that we have going on today is that we have devalued everybody that we can devalue. Every profession has been devalued.
Yeah. Well, I was when I started in my apprenticeship, there was an architectural firm in Indianapolis, if I can remember the name of it. They used to they chiefly designed school projects, and they would go through and they would develop these plans, and they would coordinate where the ductwork went, the pipe went, and everything like that. And somebody told me that because lawyers started advertising on television, that lowered the compensation for every profession in the country. So they could no longer afford to design the school and spend the time to design the schools in that manner. And now they've gone to a system to where the architect just pretty much lays out the perimeter of the building and the interior walls. And then it's up to the sheet metal workers, the electricians, and the pipe fitters to coordinate with each other to make sure they've got enough room in the space provided above the ceilings to move all these utilities. Instead of, gosh, can't remember the name of it, but the architectural firm that used to do it, they would have a representative on the job to settle disputes and to, get in contact with, this was long before cell phones. So he would be talking with the architect, and they would settle things that way. But yeah, it's just the amount of effort that architects are able to put into their design, because the value, the value of their work has gone down. Just because lawyers started advertising on TV. I don't know how that works, but that's what they.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there was probably definitely some sort of correlation with that, but the issue is why we continue to devalue everything, and I think that we should be providing our constituents with the idea of bringing back value, and showing them what the bills that we will create in legislation will do to positively affect their lives.
Yeah, one of my chief interests is going to be road funding for the counties, because on my way here, I was near Gosport, and a guy almost hit me trying to get around a hole in the road, a chuck hole. And I don't know, I might have let out an expletive. I don't know, it's possible.
Going back to the SpaceX, I don't know if you heard the news today about SpaceX going public.
$1 trillion, he's the first trillionaire.
So they went public, the stock went up 19%, and it is a $2 million valuation, which makes Elon Musk the first trillionaire.
Well, I've looked at, I had a discussion with a guy at a fish fry in where was it? Oh, it was Clay City. I went there for a fish fry for the school band fundraiser, and I introduced myself to a guy, and he said, "You don't need." He said, "I'm the president of the Clay County Council." So, and the whole council's Republicans. So I really wasn't gonna, I was beating my oar against dry ground. I wasn't gonna get anywhere. So he said, 90, I think he said like 90 or 95% of people work for billionaires. I know that to be false, So I said, okay, but let me ask you this. John D. Rockefeller, arguably the wealthiest person that's ever been in the United States. He was so wealthy, they didn't ascribe a number to his worth. His estate was worth 3% of gross domestic product. 3%, and if you take the GDP of the United States right now, if he had 3% of our GDP, he would still be more wealthy than Musk. He would still be able to buy Musk and throw him away. And I said, okay, do you know what tax rate John D. Rockefeller paid? And he said, well, he gave all his money away. I said, that's not the question I asked you. I didn't ask you if he gave money away. I said, do you know what tax rate he paid? He said, no. I said, well, it's 90%. He said, I don't believe you. He said, so I looked it up and I was wrong. He didn't pay 90%. He paid 79% on his income over a certain amount. And he was still the wealthiest person the United States has ever produced, even though he was paying 79% income tax.
My question would be, of everything that I just heard from that, what I hear and what I continue to hear with the Republican Party. Every time you talk to a Republican, the first thing they want to talk about is money and wealth, and that equals greed. And any time that you want to start having a conversation with a Republican about anything that would be helpful to people, they want to go back to their budget, they're fiscally sound, and that's bullshit because they don't run a fiscally sound budget because they just gave $650 million or more, was it billion, to these data centers.
Oh, they're giving
in tax abatements.
They're giving $300 billion to Iran, I heard today.
Well, yeah.
Just to negotiate, not as a settlement, just to get them to the table.
So I mean, you this.
Talk about forgiving student loan debt or like paying for health care.
Oh, yeah.
Where are we going to get the money?
Yeah.
They can just print it out of thin air if they want to have like a Star Wars.
Right.
How about free school lunches?
Yes.
If I hear of another kid having a full tray taken out of his hand because his parents didn't, I am going to flip my lid.
Yeah.
There is, I was waiting to speak to the teachers one time, and this is when Braun was getting ready to suspend the sales tax on gasoline. So I looked up how much money the state of Indiana gets from the sales tax on gasoline purchases. And it's almost exactly equal to the amount of money it would take to provide every student
Yes.
in Indiana with a free
Yes.
lunch.
Yes.
I don't know a better use of our, so, and then in the 1980s, Reagan misled people into thinking that welfare, food stamps were all entitlements. What they actually are subsidies for employers that don't pay their employees enough to live on. That's what it is. We, through our taxes, are paying to help subsidize employees of these wealthy people. Think about a person maybe living by themselves, working at McDonald's. If you're not the manager at McDonald's, you're not making enough money, and arguably you're probably not making enough as the manager to thrive on. You're probably making enough to get by. But why?
But the owner of McDonald's is making a lot.
Well, I don't know. The ones in Bloomington anymore are not owned private. They're owned by the corporation, I think, now. There was one family that owned all the ones in Monroe County for the longest time, but they...
There's a franchise.
Yeah, they had all the franchises. They had the one in the mall, the one, all of them. And they probably were doing quite well, and they just wanted to get out of it. And instead of somebody buying it, McDonald's corporate bought them. Mm-hmm. And, used to, there was a Kentucky Fried Chicken in Bloomington owned by the Boxman family. It was the best Kentucky Fried Chicken place I'd ever been to.
We had the same thing in Shelbyville. Kentucky Fried Chicken owned by the McNulty's.
And they probably do a good job of it
Oh, yes.
because if you want to see a monument to maximize profits, go into McDonald's today. I mean, it's not really. I don't even think it's food anymore. It's impersonal. You feel like you should fill out a W-4 when you go in there because you're actually the employee.
Yeah, you gotta place your own order. You gotta prepare your own drinks.
Slide your card through so you can do the payment yourself, and then still the order will come out. I stopped at a Wendy's on the way to Texas a week ago, and it was hokey smokes. So what time's break time around here?
Speaking of you're talking about like the design of the way McDonald's and everything. Like I don't know if this is exactly on topic, but it's kind of like ominous. Have you noticed that like all McDonald's, like pretty much all restaurants and everything, all the buildings look the same now? Mm-hmm. They're all just in blocks.
Well,
you know why that is, right? Mm-mm. It's because when everything shuts down and they go out of business, it's easier to sell a square building than it is to sell one that looks like a McDonald's.
Well, you can.
Okay.
So they're designing for an inevitable
failure.
Economic collapse.
Yeah,
basically.
yeah.
You can tell where the Pizza Huts were from the 1980s. And
I like there was an old joke one time. It's like if you ever want any kind of evidence of like rural economics, just look at all the businesses that are in former Pizza Hut buildings.
Yeah, but I mean this is a great lead-in to so I struggle with that really. I mean I struggle with everything you just said. I struggle in that. Okay, so McDonald's, obviously they started out to be a sandwich shop and they've been successful in that, but they've grown so much that this is where they are. So we are now going into business. Like when we opened the coffee shop, we didn't open this coffee shop thinking of what would we do with this building when it fails. We have always been looking at this building thinking, okay, this is a pretty sound building. This is built, it's brick, it's on a crawl. We could take this wherever our dreams will allow us to take it. Mm-hmm. But just the whole subject matter of the McDonald's are now building in just a square building because we have, again, devalued people enough that we don't even have hope in our own dreams that we're creating. Our own dreams.
If the McDonald's, Long John Silver's, KFC, Taco Bell, you'll notice it now that I mention it. Look, they're all the exact same building. Yeah. With like a little decal in front.
Yeah. Yeah, so what are we dreaming for? I mean, we're dreaming for failure?
On the flip side of that, though, is that just shows how these corporations think about themselves.
Well,
we've got so much money. We'll build this building, and if it fails, it fails. We'll sell it. We'll move on.
Yeah.
It's just
the entrepreneur in all these corporations is gone. There's no entrepreneur anymore. So they don't actually share, the people that are running the company don't share the vision. They just see the bottom line. What can we do to increase the bottom line?
Well, and that is exactly how our government is being run.
Well, no,
Trump's running it like a.
It's not. He's not even doing that. I mean, so if you look at the national debt, Trump has contributed more to the national debt than all the presidents. Well, in his first administration, he contributed more to the national debt than all the other presidents combined, less Obama. But President Obama was fighting two wars that he didn't start, that he was having a hard time finding a way out of. But I looked it up, and Trump contributed more to our national debt than World War II. World War too.
Wow.
And when you think about this, all the things that we were doing,
But the Republicans, hold on, they want to be fiscally sound.
yeah, that's
I
well,
think everybody knows
that's
It's bullshit.
even the Republicans.
I can't wait till they're out of power and they start claiming fiscal responsibility.
Oh my
Although
god.
whoever the next Democrat is after this most recent Trump term, when they're trying to fix all the things that Trump did, they're going to blame all that stuff on the Democrats.
Oh, it's a fact.
Oh yeah, that's what we fear.
That's
Yeah,
so.
I mean, there'll be a
But
war in Iran, there'll be a huge recession, all this
So-
other stuff, and they'll be like, "Oh, it's Newsom's or whoever's fault." I still think
when Herbert Hoover crashed our economy in the 1930s, 29 to 30, there was room for Franklin Roosevelt to borrow money to get us out of the hole, to do public works projects, to build the Hoover Dam, the Grand Coulee Dam, the TVA, all this stuff to make this a better place and build infrastructure. But Trump is not leaving that room. We have crossed, the national debt is now over 100% of GDP.
he's built.
So the only thing left for us to do to recover out of this
Revolt.
is to have a wealth tax like California is planning on doing. If they can take the guy that caught Barry Bonds' record-breaking home run and try to charge him taxes for a $9 ball that he hadn't realized any income off of yet. This was during the Obama administration. The IRS was wanting to tax this guy on the estimated value of this baseball, but he hadn't realized any profit off of it.
And the value is a arbitrary thing.
So that's kind of like our property taxes. The value of your house goes up, so your taxes go up, but you haven't realized any profit off of your home. Wouldn't it be nice if, say, 70 or 80-year-old people that have lived here in the state for 30 or 40 years said, okay, you've paid your share. So if you take a person that's 70 years old and you zero out their property tax, how much money are you really going to lose in the next 10 to 15 years? I mean, what kind of quality of life would you provide that 70 to 80-year-old person if you zeroed out their property taxes, if they didn't have to pay property taxes? Wouldn't that be a benefit?
Yeah.
I mean, you've paid your share, you paid it.
Or, I mean, we could just start from the bottom layer and, when this finishes all burning down, then we can just make everyone equally pay their share
And I was thinking today they're talking about
and make it affordable.
housing shortages because corporations are buying primary residences for Airbnbs or rental properties and things like that. Why can't we tax that income on those at a higher rate to disincentivize them from doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of off topic, but have you all ever heard of income-based speed ticketing?
Well,
Some European countries do it, but it's like instead of a speeding ticket, like a speeding fine being a certain dollar amount, it's like one or, depending on how bad it is, it's a percentage of your annual income.
yeah, I've
So
heard
if you're a
about that.
millionaire, you're going to get the same
Well,
damage.
here's something else. When you take somebody that's wealthy and all they have to do is pay a fine for their infraction, that means to that wealthy person everything's legal for a price. I can do anything I want for a price.
Because getting a speeding ticket is just a
Apparently our president can sexually assault a rider for $83 million.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And he can take national security secrets to his home in Florida, and the only thing he had to pay was legal fees, and he's gotten away with it.